Welcome to The Last Word on Product Marketing, a podcast hosted by Liza Chakowski, founder of Last Word Marketing. Liza helps MarTech and AdTech companies align product strategy with marketing execution. On her podcast, Liza and her guests talk about how to avoid pitfalls and achieve success in product marketing.
This is another episode of the Last Word on Product Marketing podcast. I'm Liza Chakowski, a fractional product marketer and consultant with Last Word Marketing and your host of this podcast. Today, I'm talking to Gavin Dunaway, who heads up marketing at the Media Trust, which is the leading provider of digital trust and safety technology for publishers, ad tech companies, app developers, commerce media, and advertisers. Before coming to the Media Trust, he led editorial content at Ad Monsters. Many people listening have likely attended an Ad Monsters conference or read his work. It has definitely helped foster a community for digital media professionals. And before that, Gavin was senior editor at Adotis, focusing, of course, on writing about digital advertising. He's a longtime New Yorker like me. And Gavin, thanks for doing my podcast.
We even lived in the same co-op without even realizing it.
It's a swanky hood.
Occasionally I will run into like publisher ad ops people around, and then I do like a double take because I'm just like, no, you're not allowed to invade this part of my life.
Exactly. It's like seeing teachers outside of school a little bit. All right, let's start talking marketing and product marketing. So most marketers know that aligning product marketing with the corporate strategy can be kind of a moving target. Have you experienced that type of friction?
Media Trust has evolved. The company is celebrating the big 20 years. I got the logo made with 20 years with our shield. I'm very proud of that. But there kept being new needs that we were like, oh yeah, we can actually solve that problem. So, without getting too much into the pitch, digital trust and safety is fancy terminology for ad security, creative QA automation, objectionable ad content identification, as well as data governance. It goes on and on, but these things just kind of kept compiling. The Media Trust even started off as a campaign verification provider. We have this giant infrastructure of actual devices and emulators that stretch across the world. And we have different profiles. We can be a grandmother from Skokie, Ohio. Anyway, we can be, say, a miner from New York. We could be a middle-aged person in Dubai. So while we're doing this, we keep getting redirects, pop-ups, phishing attacks, the worst of the worst. Yeah, stuff downloaded onto the devices. And we're like, oh, well, there is a different market here, isn't there? These guys don't even know this is happening. So that's where we got into malware prevention. And then we were like, oh, well, publishers, they need to check the QA on all their direct campaigns and stuff like that. Well, yeah, we can do that too. So new business, creative QA automation, objectionable ad content identification. Oh, you need to tell if a non-consented user in California is getting tracked by ad technology. Yeah, we can show you if that's happening or not. So data governance, privacy compliance, commerce media has been a huge, and that one just kind of ran into us. They were like, they need a very specific type of creative QA automation and the data tracking to make sure people aren't stealing their very valuable customer data. So it's kind of like constantly evolving and bouncing all these different markets that we serve. I like to say we're an equal opportunity. We can do business with just about anybody with a consumer-facing website or an ad business. Our corporate strategy is a constantly shifting target, and I have to be able to be in touch with the execs, the sales team, and figure out what kind of content is going to move the needle here. What's going to make somebody say, like, you know what, I should get a demo.
Sure. How do you get your management team on board with prioritizing all of those different audiences and strategies?
Woo, that is a tough one. It's It's very, very difficult because if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. And, a lot of times everything is a priority. A secret marketing weapon I have is because I was a journalist, I go to conferences and I just awaken those old journalist skills and I just start writing about this is what they said. I almost like try to write stories in real time because when I was a journalist, I did live tweeting, live blogging, and stuff like that. I just take that. It's being on top of the industry and just seeing like, hey, this is where all the attention is right now. This is where the need is. Part of the reason I am here is because I have been on top of where things are going and what I hear. So yeah, it's about informing them, sharing with them stuff constantly, and they come to me too. Like, what do you think about this thing?
Yeah, it sounds like you're constantly kind of testing the market based on your relationships and conferences you attend, and when you're out in the market talking to customers, they will tell you what they need and what they want. That's great.
And that's the journalistic background. I think is great there because I am very open to it. I want to hear it. That the curiosity, where's the story at? It doesn't go away, and I love it. Some people ask me like, "You want to go back to journalism?" And I'm like, "Well, honestly, I'm kind of doing something interesting here. It kind of
Yeah,
goes beyond journalism." So,
sure. So, thinking about some successful initiatives or strategies that you've implemented, what has made an impact?
yeah, and I was thinking about this, kind of separating from the strategies versus the tactics because,
Mhm.
and that's always tough for me because it's just so intertwined. I'm always, with strategy, I'm just like, how are we going to execute? How are we going to execute?
Yeah, things move so quickly that you're creating the strategy and the tactics at the exact same time. What do they call it?
And
Building the plane while it's in the air. There's a lot of that I find in B2B tech marketing.
I think it has to be because just issues appear out of nowhere. I mean, we suddenly realized there was this massive opportunity for us with a certain major exchange shut down, and all of a sudden we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa! They all need security partners. So, hello, hi. So yeah, had to like come up with campaign materials, like just immediately videos, LinkedIn campaign, and like, email campaign, and but yeah, in like a week we had a whole bunch of stuff up and running.
On the flip side, when there's challenges of something you tried that didn't work as expected, does that
Oh,
happen?
yeah, I have a good one. When I first came to the Media Trust, I was put in this campaign called the ComScore 100 Plus. It was going to be smaller and mid-sized publishers that would need security help because one of our products is a code, a script that goes on page and blocks bad ads. And you have control over what bad is. I mean, of course, the malware, the phishing redirects, the tech scams targeting grandmas because they do that. But also, offensive content to you, which could be, hey, I don't want gambling ads on there.
Sure.
No gambling ads. So as we started going and started pushing out campaign materials, we realized that the market had been changing, that a lot of the smaller and mid-sized publishers were outsourcing their programmatic businesses to companies like Freestar, Playwire, Raptive, Adapac, expected to get the media trust services through that we really needed to be targeting those companies instead. So it was an awakening, and after doing a lot of work and putting together various campaign materials, it was like, oh man, really? So we just had to pick up and pivot and just be like, okay, maybe we can still reuse this, just shift.
Sure, sure. Like even if it didn't work, almost always we'll find an opportunity to repurpose things. So let's talk a little about differentiation. I think it's getting harder and harder in saturated markets. How do you tackle differentiation?
Yes, I think we have some product advantages that I'm always about showcasing, and our customer service differentiates us a great deal. But in terms of like marketing, I think I take advantage of personality. My competitors have a tendency when they're putting out security stuff, it's very, very kind of stiff and just kind of like, oh, bad ads, lots of them. And for some of them, this worked really well. I think maybe like 8, 9 years ago, because it was just like, oh my God, look at those numbers. But now it's kind of like, yeah. We all know there's lots of redirects and stuff like that. We all run into them.
Mhm.
So adding a little personality. I have a theater minor and, dreams of multimedia stardom. The short video format is just it's just first off, it doesn't take much to write up a little script. You have a sudden inspiration, pick up your iPhone, do it, knock it out, throw some music on there. Canva has been just an absolute game changer for me for just making quick content. And yeah, and I'm using all my designers guidelines. I'm sticking with all the colors and stuff like that. But my ability to just like knock something out really quick that can make a statement, especially when we were talking about earlier with the speed of this. Like I was able to make like a quick little LinkedIn post about curation, and by like we've been on the curation bandwagon forever. Because yeah, that term is everywhere in ad tech, and now we're discussing like what's real curation and what's just being a middleman.
Yeah. So it sounds like you use your storytelling skills with your creativity in B2B, which I agree that is a superpower. I think there's not as much creativity just because of the nature of, what we're selling. I think it's harder to be a little more creative. And then also you probably have to get the buy-in of your leadership team to take that kind of creative risk. So that's great that your management team is open to your creativity and leveraging that.
I don't know if anybody remembers, but TikTok had this thing a few years ago where people were singing sea chanties and then doing duets with other people with harmonies and stuff like that. So I picked up my guitar and I wrote a sea chanty about malvertising on the programmatic seas, where we were looking for more revenue, so we lowered our floors, and all the bad things that came in. And yeah, for when I put that up and I started posting on LinkedIn, I was like, oh, please, executives, don't give me a hard time about it. No, they really, the CEO in particular, Chris Olsen, he loved it. And we did some more like bad ads rising to the tune of CCR's Bad Moon Rising. And my personal favorite, I Will Monetize, to I Will Survive.
That's
Yeah,
cute. Oh, that's fun.
but I think that's key also, and it has always been my experience in B2B. I'm older than I look. I jumped into ad tech about 15, 16 years ago now. And but before that, I started my career as a copy editor for a magazine all about taxes.
Fun.
And yeah, people are still just like, and you escaped? It
Yeah.
was very interesting, I swear. But then I moved on to a trade magazine that was all about uh, corporate employee relocation. Sounds dry, right? So I had to find something like, we have to find ways to make this interesting. What are the other angles here? How can we make this fun? And it was the same approach when I jumped into ad tech and I started leading conferences with Rob Beeler over at Ad Monsters. And I immediately just like, Rob and I were just like, yes, you were like, this does not have to be dull. We are fun people. We are interesting people. How do we give this some life? And that's why I think the Ad Monsters conferences are great, and why they're loved by publishers is that we saw like, hey, it's not all, we can have a meaningful conversation, but also just be like, we're human beings doing this, and we can laugh, we can cry, we can do
Bringing
it.
your whole self to work, right? That's the trend. I hear you. So what's your relationship with the sales team like in terms of giving them what they need? Are they sending your musical videos to clients to make them laugh?
I definitely have some.
Nice.
There was a couple of jokes over the years about like webinars, like, who is that smooth voice guy you have talking about malware? So that's always been good. I built out all the collateral for the sales team, and I built out the presentations. I built out the basic presentation template for them, and wrote out like a whole script and all that. But I made it really clear, like, hey guys, this is how I see it. And I've given a fair deal of pitches myself. Media Trust is not a big team, and I have brought in leads myself and was like, I'm just gonna pitch these guys real quick and then hand it off to you.
Yeah, sure. You do the opening call, and then they're the closers. That's why
Exactly.
they're in sales. That's great.
Um, I've always tried to be as tight as possible with them. I've What's helped me there is again working the conferences and where lots of salespeople go, hearing how they're approaching the market, watching how they talk to people and build relationships. I was paying attention. I picked up a lot from them, and doing some pitching here there myself. It was like, okay, well, actually, this little part we got to work on that. Got to make this clearer. It's advantageous being in such a small organization. We've got about 100 people, and 85% of that is dedicated to customer service or research and development, our very large security team, operations, engineering, the stuff that is not going to conferences. I'm an extension of them, and I want them to be more successful because they talk to more people than I do. They're getting more feedback. So I ask them a lot of questions. I try to listen in and hear, like, so what did they say to you on that? And what did we hear on this time? I had some of my newer marketing language just came out of those conversations. One of my sales guys had a row of closes, and I was like, you are killing it. What is working?
Yeah.
And
Keeping
so
in contact with them and keeping the communication open is definitely key. Is there any other ways that you get the team to embrace your messaging? I know that we've all worked in places where you kind of throw the messaging over the wall. You want them to embrace it and incorporate it, but that doesn't just happen, right? You have to encourage them and repeat and engage and show them that this is a better way of presenting the product.
to get on what you were saying there, I mean, I definitely have seen some organizations where there's like almost an adversarial relationship between sales and marketing for a variety of reasons. I mean, it could be that marketing's bringing lots of leads and sales isn't closing, or sales doesn't feel like the leads they're getting from marketing are good, and it's just like, ooh. And yeah, so you can get in rough shape. I think something I would say was key would be that I go to conferences with these guys and I kind of team up on conversations, and I try out the marketing language in front of them. And so both of us can see in real time how it works. And once they're like, okay, they were open to that, then they start adopting it. I think I've gotten very lucky with a lot of my team. Maybe it's also because we have a very two-way relationship. Maybe
You have the credibility, and you're constantly adding value so that they continuously feel like they can trust your judgment about what the market is thinking and collaborate.
And it's also, I would say, the flexibility to be like, okay, if this isn't work, and not an arrogance about it, not like my way or the highway, like like if this isn't working, let me know, and
Yeah.
we will change it. We will adjust.
Yes, being flexible is definitely key to working with salespeople.
Yeah, it's also our tagline is basically keeping consumers safe is good for business. And I was thinking about what you were saying earlier about like like big strategy change that I feel like I push. Our marketing was very focused on consumers getting attacked. And we were just like, oh my God, what are you guys doing to these poor consumers? And I didn't feel like that was really resonating for a variety of reasons. Like, because there's a giant separation between a publisher, an ad tech platform, and that consumer. We even call them users, not even like people. They're users. Oh, an ad attack that user. It's like, well, better luck next time. That was a big thing for our company, but we had to take it a step farther, which was tying it back to the publisher, the ad tech platform, the enterprise brand, their business. And just saying, like, if you're being barraged by phishing redirects, you're losing out on other impressions because yeah, somebody's going to leave like, oh, that site's having a problem right now. They're not going to read additional content. You're not getting extra chances to show them more ads. Ad tech platforms, they're going to get shut off, just simply as that. And how many figures of business is that going to cost you? If you get shut off for a day, I mean, that could easily be six figures. So really just saying like keeping consumers safe. I know it sounds obvious, but it is good for business. It's worth paying because it's a pittance next to how much it's going to cost you when the bad guys strike.
Sure. That keeping it simple, I think, is very smart. We're about to wrap up, and I always ask guests if they could leave us with a piece of advice or a lesson that you've received at some point in your career that still influences you today.
I think thinking like a journalist is good for marketers, and also get outside of your specialties. So I feel like a lot of our competitors, they focus very hard on just what they do, while I'm out there like practicing the journalism skills and trying to think about the entire ecosystem, what developments and stuff that's not even related to us. The whole identity solutions, tracking, attribution, media mix modeling, stuff like that. I write about that on LinkedIn. I talk about it. I don't necessarily share it from the Media Trust account, but I am involved in this. And I'm thinking about everything because that's part of my client's business. It's not the part I'm directly affecting, but I want to show that I care about more than just what I'm doing. I see how things are all tied together. I know the cliche of like, you don't want to be a vendor, you want to be a partner, but that's how you show it. You show like, this is how I want to be your partner. I want to be involved in your success.
Fantastic. I agree. I think that there's so much to be learned from having that journalist background. Storytelling, collaboration, interview skills, they all come into play with being an effective marketer. That's amazing. So how can people get in touch with you?
I spend so much time on LinkedIn. I swear I'm a really good follow on LinkedIn, because I go to all these events and I try to write about what's going on in real time. So that's a great place to reach me. I do actually check my messages on LinkedIn. I would love to chat, and I really do enjoy talking marketing, product marketing. When I switched over from being a journalist to doing marketing, I still get imposter syndrome in this space. I didn't go to school for this. I'm just feel like I'm making it up as I go along.
We're all making it up as we go along, I think.
I tell
You're not
people that a
alone.
lot.
You're not alone there.
I tell people a lot of times that in ad tech, and especially younger kids, like, look, guys, we're writing the future here. We're all figuring it out as we go along. So don't feel bad if you don't know all of this, and this, because chances are it could be irrelevant.
Sure. Everything moves so quickly. That's great advice. Gavin, thank you so much for being a guest on The Last Word on Product Marketing.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor, and also just really, really fun to talk.
Same here. Everyone, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on all the major platforms and check out my YouTube channel for the videos. Thanks for listening in.